Hey, welcome, folks. My name is Curtis Mackey. I'm the college and career counselor at McHenry High School. We have got an opportunity for you tonight. In a moment, I'm going to turn things over to my colleagues here, and we're going to talk about an awesome program that McHenry High School is rolling out next year called AVID. I am incredibly excited for this program and for the opportunities that your freshmen may have in front of you. Before we get into the content tonight, just a couple quick things about the format. You are watching us on YouTube right now. Below the screen, you will see that comment box, which you've probably noticed before. Maybe you've engaged with it in the past as you watch YouTube videos. In this case, though, if you enter questions into that comment box during this live presentation, we can actually see those questions and we can respond to them in real time. That's one of the advantages of doing this live stream this way. Is that, again, if you enter questions into that comment box right there below the video on YouTube, we can pull those questions on screen and we can give you answers to those in real time. So folks, when you have questions about something, if you're curious about something, if you want us to go into more detail about something, just enter that question right in that comment box and we will address that as we go along. I'm going to turn things over to Heidi Dunn. Heidi, what do we have in store tonight?
Hi, Curtis. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about the AVID program, brand new program at McHenry, and introduce ourselves, discuss a little bit more about what the program is going to bring, and then answer any questions that anybody has, have people take a look at the application and see what that's all about while we're doing it. All right, so tonight we will be joined hopefully later by Mrs. Kyle Hobson, who's the associate principal at the freshman campus. The reason we've got all these freshman people here, associate principal and freshman counselor and everything like that, is that this is a program that's going to be initiated at the freshman campus. My name is Mrs. Heidi Dunn. I'm currently at the upper campus, but next year I'll be the AVID coordinator, and you'll be able to find me at the freshman campus.
I'm Mr. J.R. Boshin. I am one of the freshman counselors.
I am Miss Stephanie Sarignana, the other freshman counselor at the freshman building.
And once again, I am Curtis Menke, the college and career counselor. I spend most of my time at the upper campus, but whenever I get a chance, I come over and bother these guys at the freshman campus as well.
That is very true, Curtis. So just to start us off, like Mrs. Heidi Dunn said, we're here to talk to you about AVID. And I feel as though probably our parents that are tuning in are like, have maybe heard some whispers from their students about us visiting them at the middle schools and kind of presenting this information. So what is AVID? It's a wonderful acronym. Actually, those letters stand for something. And as you can see here on the screen, that's Advancement via Individual Determination. So this is really a program that focuses on that determination aspect of really finding those kids and closing that opportunity gap educationally and making sure that our students that we know do well and are pretty successful are ones that need to be challenged a little bit and really find that individual rigor to push themselves to exceed and kind of push beyond their limits, push them to a higher level, and then really to have that focus on post-secondary and pushing them towards that 4-year college plan. We are going to briefly touch about, what's the difference between, if you see on the bottom here, AVID school-wide versus the AVID elective. So again, like Mrs. Heidi Dunn had said, today we're going to talk a little bit more in detail about the AVID elective and what that is, what that looks like if your student were to choose to participate in this program. This school-wide approach is more of how can we use the strategies that this AVID program provides within the elective and how can we push those out into our core content classes. So it really becomes over time a nice overall school cultural model that we're presenting at the freshman campus, which I think is our big goal as we bring this on to our district here. So we're super excited about that. Once more today, we're going to be talking about, hopefully, again, that elective piece. And what we're looking for is really that nice sweet spot of about 40 to 50 students. And so like I had stated prior, we came to the middle schools, presented to your student, and your student identified as a kid that would excel and do really well with this program and really be able to utilize the supports that we're able to provide within this AVID elective class. And so we're kind of looking for that sweet spot number of kids to get this rolling out at the district here. So profile of an AVID student, what does that look like? I'd like to always point out to students, and I think more especially to parents, this isn't really an intervention, right? We've had students already, and some parents I know reach out and are like, wait, what's going on? Why was my kid, in a meeting with the high school? And it was cute and talking with some of the students, they all thought they were in trouble. And I was like, no, you're not in trouble. This is actually a wonderful opportunity. This just means that your teachers see such wonderful potential and think that you could really benefit from some really nice added and kind of that more of that like one-to-one support within the building to kind of push you to be highly motivated and achieve those high levels. So what an AVID student should be is highly motivated, wanting to push themselves a little bit more, ready for a challenge, and really looking to attend that 4-year college, and maybe just need some help with that navigation piece along the way. And that's what really AVID focuses on. If we look at kind of like our stats or our data that we like to in identifying the profile of an AVID student, it's our kids that are kind of in that academic middle. So they go to class, they don't have attendance behaviors, they're participating, but could they be pushed a little bit more? Absolutely. We look at that first generation college student and someone with any other maybe potential roadblocks that we could then help along the way and provide that additional support. An AVID student is not somebody that's demonstrating poor classroom behavior, somebody that's not attending school, unmotivated. This is really a program where we want that motivation piece from not only the parents, but of course the students. So we got to make sure that everybody wants it from the family, because this is a wonderful commitment throughout their high school careers. So it turns those good students into even greater students and overall really human beings. And visiting these schools that we had the opportunity to visit that had AVID programs, we were able to have these wonderful conversations with these students that said, you know what, I realized these skills at the freshman level were ones maybe I didn't recognize until I hit my senior year, how wonderful that they were and how helpful they were once I reached the end. And where was that pinnacle point of senior year of all these things I learned throughout my high school course within AVID really helped me become a better student and a better being overall, I would say. I think I'm going to transition over to who's after me. I can't remember. I want to say it's Mrs. Heidi Dunn.
It is.
Okay.
All right. So those kids that we met with at the middle school, just so you kind of understand the process, the middle school sent us over information about GPA and standardized test scores. And we took that information and kind of sent it back to the 8th grade teachers and said, these are the kids that we kind of saw as being the middle of the academic road. Kids who are doing well, but could be doing better. Kids who might have potential or interested in going on to college. And we asked 8th grade teachers, we only know these kids as numbers and you know them as people. So do you believe that this child is motivated and is interested in doing this and would be a good fit for the program? And so the teachers at the middle school sent us back names of about 110 students who might be interested in the program. And that's how they ended up at that meeting with us. So that meeting is the meeting of the kids, the 45 to 50 students that we're going to be looking at for the AVID elective class. So this slide here is telling you a little bit about what that AVID elective class is all about. So it is 1 period a day. It's a class in their schedule. Students will get a grade for this class. It's not a study hall. It's nothing like that. It actually has curriculum that is nationally developed curriculum. So some of the things that curriculum touches on is academic, social, and emotional support is part of it. Especially at the freshman level, we're going to get kids understanding what it means to be a high school student. And that academic, social, and emotional support that they might need transitioning for the first time from the middle school to the high school. AVID has a curriculum that's based around some skills in writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization, reading, and SAT prep. It's called the Wicker strategies. So if your student joins the program and you hear them talking about Wicker, that stands for writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization, and reading. But basically, it's kind of helping students how to use all of these skills in all of their core classes, all of the classes that they take, how to take notes, how to organize themselves so that they don't procrastinate on homework assignments, because that's like the number one issue for every student in the world, right? How to read things successfully in order to get the information, how to organize writing and things like that. Twice, so that's 3 times a week they go through that actual curriculum. And then twice a week, they have tutorial sessions where they meet in scholar groups with their motivated peers. And in those scholar groups, they together work to try to answer questions that they have in their regular classes. So if I'm a student in AVID and I'm struggling with a particular concept in math, I'll come to my twice a week tutoring session and I'll say to my scholar group, this is the problem that I'm having. And we will have certified tutors who will be trained for the program, who will come in and work with our students on helping them answer those questions. And it does a couple of things. First, it gives them peers that they can turn to for help. It gives them tutors that they can turn to for help. And it also helps them articulate their own problems that they're having with classes, which is really important. One of the benefits of the AVID program is that students come out being able to communicate really well with a wide variety of other people, students, staff members, and everything like that, which is a skill no matter what they do, no matter where they go, they're going to need to use in their life. So that's one of those things. We will be doing step-by-step exploration at different levels of the high school curriculum in career and college and scholarship searching and all of that stuff throughout 4 years that they'll be a part of the AVID program. So the next slide, we're going to take a look at a little bit how that 4 years kind of comes together. So we're starting over here on the left side of the screen, the 9th grade. So as freshmen, they will be transitioning into high school, and we're going to be teaching them the AVID Wicker study skills and organization. They'll be introduced to tutoring and peer tutoring models. They're going to be working on collaboration in their scholar groups. And we'll also be doing some field trips and having guest speakers in to kind of talk about all the different options that are available for high school and after high school. So some of the guest speakers will be people coming in talking about how to be a successful high school student. And some of the field trips will be, where will we go next? So we could be taking field trips to the upper campus, which would be a quick one. Then we might be taking some field trips to other places like colleges that they might be interested in looking at in the future. 10th grade, they as students will move on to the upper campus building. So our 10th grade AVID elective is going to be, how do you transition from freshman campus where you're all with your same group of kids into the upper campus? They might be taking some upper level classes at the upper campus. And so how do you transfer those skills that you learned in 9th grade into that? They're also going to be doing some career exploration, kind of looking at different potential vehicles for their future. What do they want to do, when you release them from your house and they have to be contributing members of society? What are they going to do with that? Again, we continue with tutoring and guest speakers and potentially some field trips too. We have to talk about that yet. At the 11th grade level, most kids at McHenry High School will have taken or are about to take AP classes. So advanced courses and advanced coursework, junior and senior level coursework is a big topic, and how to be successful at AP classes. We want our AVID kids to take honors in AP classes. And so this is their, like now that you're in these upper level classes, how do you use those skills that you've learned in freshman and sophomore year to help you succeed in classes like this? 11th grade is a big year for college exploration. So this is the year when they start looking at, what does a private school look like? What does a public college look like? What is it in-state versus out of state? What steps should I be taking at thinking about college in the future? And that's a big part of the 11th grade curriculum, as well as SAT prep. They will have to take the SAT in April that year. And so we'll be doing some SAT prep to help them score really well so that all of the doors for their future are open for them. And then doing more college field trips, looking at some colleges around the area and seeing what they have to offer. Getting feet on the ground in some of those college campuses really help our kids understand what college is all about. And then the last year, the crowning jewel of the AVID curriculum is the senior year, 12th grade. And this is where all of those skills that they've learned are reinforced. And now they start to apply to what will I be doing in college? We will walk them through step by step the college application process. We will sit next to them and help them press that submit button when they apply to college. We'll help them with financial aid and filling out the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. We'll have them work on scholarships. And we'll be doing some field trips as well. And then there's a big celebration at the end of senior year. You have graduated from AVID, and now you're going to head off into whatever the next step is into your college future. So that's kind of what the 4-year curriculum looks like. So as you can see, you start off in the freshman year AVID program. We don't just leave you by the wayside when you head over to the upper campus. Nope, we kind of support you all the way, every step of the journey. All right, so I think Mr. Boshin is going to talk a little bit next about how AVID looks like around the nation and also in Illinois.
Yeah, so the next 2 slides are really focused on the effectiveness of the program. Like, this is a research-based program, which is one of the reasons why we selected it here in McHenry. So you're going to see things like 2 million students in AVID, 8,000 schools currently that have an AVID program, and this idea of 40 years, over 40 years of proven results. So from the slide, you're also going to see things like college readiness, college acceptance, and then that pursuit of college in terms of factors. The next slide really focuses on Illinois statistics, which I feel are a little bit more critical and a little bit more important for us. So looking at the Illinois statistics, you're going to see this concept of students being college ready. And I think that is something that's been echoed in some of our previous slides, where we really want students to have every opportunity available to them when they graduate. And so AVID is one of the mechanisms that we are going to use to get these students ready. We want them prepared for whatever their choice is after high school. You're going to see some of the benchmarks. Well, our benchmark is really this idea of college ready, because if students are college ready, they can really do anything that they set out to do after high school. We want to make sure that they're prepared to go to a 4-year college, but also know that, along the way, if they make a choice to do something different, they're going to be successful in that field. And so I know that Mr. Mankey works his tail off to work with these students to make sure that every student has a plan upon graduation. We do our best to assist him in that process. And I know that, many of our students, especially these AVID students that are really in the middle 50% of our academic performance, they could just benefit from that additional support and that additional push to know that these options and opportunities are available to them when they graduate. Curtis, did you have anything else to add?
No, you guys have said it all. I'll just really quickly kind of build off something you mentioned there, Mr. Boshin. There's kind of, the big goal we have for every McHenry High School student is to get trained or educated in something beyond the high school diploma. The AVID program, you've heard the word college mentioned several times here. It does lean a little further into students who are looking at that route. But again, as Mr. Boshin said, sometimes, students will run across a field or a career area that just kind of lights them up, and they happen to see their passions follow that. So again, we're here to support all of our students. Again, we encourage them to continue training beyond high school. But one of the things I absolutely love about this program is just how supportive it is, and that sort of cohort nature. So it's not just the teachers in the program supporting; it's also the students themselves supporting each other. That's one of the things that I really think makes this program special and meaningful to those who have participated in it and those who will eventually complete it.
I agree. I think the the AVID cohort idea, when you're with the same group of students, 45 to 50 students for 4 years, really start to feel like a family, and those students support each other. And one of the things that you'll see, Mr. Mankey, if you can go to the next slide, in our upcoming schedule, we have a recruitment night, December 19th at 6 p.m. at the freshman campus. That is a live, you need to be there. We're not doing it virtually. But at that recruitment night, you're going to hear from some students from other schools. Mr. Boshin mentioned that there were 101 different high schools around Illinois that have AVID programs. So we're going to have some students in who are seniors right now in AVID programs from Crystal Lake. And they're going to come in and they're going to talk about what the AVID program meant for them and what it did for them. So that's going to be kind of an important event if you or your child wants to come and kind of see, what is this all about from a student perspective? Because we can tell you all day long what AVID will give them, but the students will tell you what they got out of AVID and being part of that program. So that's December 19th at 6 p.m. at the freshman campus. Put it on your calendars. Please consider coming. We would love to see you. Yep. And then we've already released the application on November 30th when we talked to the kids. They have access to that application. Some of them have already sent in applications to us that we've been looking over. But that application is due on December 23rd at 3 p.m. So if you are waiting to put in your application and you kind of want to look over it a little bit, we're going to look it over on the next slide to answer any questions that people might have about that application. December 23rd is the deadline, because we have to start, like all students that are 8th graders right now in McHenry, have to start thinking of what classes are they going to take freshman year of high school, because believe it or not, very soon you're going to be registering for those classes for freshman year of high school. And AVID is going to be the first class on your schedule. So we want to make sure that we have the kids for the program first before we start doing the registration with students. So December 23rd is when the application is due. At that December 19th night, if you want to bring along your computer or your whatever device you have, a Chromebook, and want some help filling out the application, we will be on hand to help you with filling out that application as well. So it could be like your last questions that you have before filling that in. We can answer them for you, and you can kind of submit the application that night on December 19th. Then over the holiday break and into the next semester, we will be, as a team, looking at the applications that come in, and we'll be setting up interviews for students to be in the AVID program. Those interviews, there's nothing to get nervous about or anything like that. We're basically going to sit down with students for a few minutes, 5-10 minutes or something like that, maybe less, and talk to each student who's interested in being in the AVID program, probably about things that they have on their application, and then ask them questions that kind of go off of what we learn about them from the application. So that's the week of January 17th. It probably won't be with all of us. That interview might just be one-on-one with one of us involved. But then after that January 23rd and 24th, around that time is what we're looking at as far as notifying students and letting them know whether they are one of the 45 to 50 students that we are accepting into the AVID program. There's one thing that I want to mention that we haven't talked about so far, and it just struck me as we were discussing, that isn't really on the list, but I want to clarify that this is a program that is no additional cost to parents. We give you a lot in the program, but it's a class that you're taking in high school. You're getting tutoring. You don't have to pay for that tutoring. You're getting help with college applications and scholarships and things like that. You don't have to pay for that. It's part of the curriculum in school, just like any other class. You don't have to pay extra for it. And I know that I had a question earlier in the week from a parent about that. So I just wanted to clarify.
Oh, I'll jump in too real fast and say that this is a credit-bearing class. So in taking the class, your student does in fact earn credit So that's just something I know parents too don't, we talk about being on track and making sure our students are taking the appropriate classes. And I think that is such also an added benefit in talking with other students in the AVID program of, this really helped me identify the other electives or career pathways, I had every intention of taking and kind of pointing them in the right direction. So that's just also kind of like a nice counselor added bonus of your kid does get credit for being in this class as well.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. So, Mr. Mankey, the next slide is our application. If you haven't yet seen the application as a parent, you can scan this QR code so you can kind of see the application. Mr. Mankey, if you could click on that link and take us to the application so that we can kind of see it right now. The link is in the word application.
Sure. I'll navigate over there in a moment. It's going to take me a moment to bring it up on the screen there, Mrs. Dunn. So if
No
you don't
problem.
mind, just talk a little more about the application. Additionally, Mrs. Hobson has just joined us. So Mrs. Hobson, I'm going to bring you on screen here.
Hey,
Hi.
welcome. We weren't just talking about you at all.
Oh, okay. Nice to see everybody.
Mrs. Hobson, we're on the last slide number 10, and we're about to take a look at the application. Would you like to go over the application? They might be tired of hearing my voice. If you want me to.
Sure, I can go through that.
All right.
I don't remember.
Well,
Actually, Mrs. Dunn, I'm going to have you do it,
Okay.
please.
All right. No problem.
Thank
All right,
you.
so this is the application that we put together for students who are entering into our AVID program. And if you could scroll down, you could see that we're asking for students' email. We would want them to use their personal email, not a District 15 email, because that's going to disappear at the end of their 8th grade year, and we won't have access to it after that. Basic information, last name, first name, phone and address, pretty easy. And then if you take a look, we are also asking for parent and guardian's email and an email address that they check regularly. We're also looking to know what school they're coming from. So these are all the different schools that we talk to students about joining the AVID program from. So if you are a student of or a parent of a student from Parkland, we've also been talking to the MMS kids and Montini and Harrison and everybody who kind of feeds into our high school. And if you scroll down, we have a number of other questions that we're asking as far as demographics, male, female, what they identify as far as ethnic, and then t-shirt size. You do get some swag out of the program for being part of the program. So we want to get that started so we can kind of welcome you into the program right away with some McHenry AVID swag. The second one, what other language other than English do you speak at home, is important for us to know so that we can communicate with you as parents as best we can throughout the process. We have everything that we've done in English here is also available in Spanish. Thanks very much to our translator, our Spanish translator. And then we have this one question that Mr. Mankey has his wonderful little pointer pointed at right now. The gauntlet of power is, what is your parent or guardian's highest level of completed education? One of the things that Stephanie mentioned earlier was that we're looking more at first generation college students. That doesn't mean that if you have a college education or your spouse has a college education, that doesn't mean that you are like completely denied from the program, but it's kind of like a program that's helping students navigate the college application process when they might not have that help at home. And so that's why we ask for parents' highest level of education there for both of them. Go ahead and scroll down, Mr. Mankey. And then we have a bunch of short answer questions about what students like about school, what they don't like about school, what they think that would make them a good AVID candidate. These are some of the questions that might contribute to our interview process when we sit down with your child and interview them about the program, what their academic goals are. We're hoping that everybody's academic goal is, like Mr. Mankey said, get trained in something beyond a high school diploma. And in this case, it is all about kind of college. So we're really looking at that right there. And we want to know, like a little bit more about your child as a person. And so that we can make sure that they are good matches for the program. Good. All right. JR, Steph, Kyle, do you have anything that you would like to add to that?
I always have things to add, Miss Heidi Dunn, just because. I would just like to say thank you, because I know that I'm sure hopefully we have some parents watching of students that have already submitted an application, and I'm sure I speak for the team, but I'll just speak for myself in that in reading some of these applications are like your students have done a wonderful job of answering those short answers. And I know that's where I feel like most students get a little tripped up or nervous about in answering when it comes to an application process for anything for that matter. And in reading these, it kind of really solidifies, and I think should solidify for you as a family of your teachers and your schools did a wonderful job of identifying really the exact group of students that we're looking for to really reach that, their highest potential in high school and beyond. From our statistics, it's clear, right? These kids it's proven they're successful in college. And that's always, I think, as a counselor's perspective, worrisome to me. It's sad to see them leave the coop of McHenry, and I cross my fingers and toes that, they're successful those 4 years. And this program really has that research-based approval behind it. So I just wanted to say thank you to those that have already applied, because I think the group that we've identified and that your teachers and your schools have helped identify is a great and wonderful group. And you've done a wonderful job so far in the applications we've been reading.
Yeah, and we'd like to encourage you, if you are a student watching, that if you haven't submitted that application, if you've been kind of waiting on it, please submit it. We want to know a little bit about you before that December 23rd deadline. Mr. Mankey, can you navigate back to the last slide in the show? Yeah. If you have any questions, I've kind of been answering most of the questions for the AVID program as the pretty new coordinator. But if you have any questions that you want for me, you could ask them now by typing into the comment, and we can all answer whatever you have still questions about. Or if you want to wait and email me later, I think my email is on all of the communication that you've gotten so far about the program. So you can email me and let me know if there's anything that we missed telling you, so that we can kind of answer any of the final burning questions.
Oh, I definitely also beg of you to come to see us live and in person. We aren't just on the computer, we are real live people. And so that December 19th, I know I'm super excited about, to have these AVID students come and share their experiences, because in visiting these other schools with other staff members within the district, we came out of those visits with tears in our eyes. I know some of our teachers had in listening to the AVID students within the program, and it's just wonderful to see kind of live and living color. And I encourage you to please come and attend, because you won't regret hearing from them and hearing their personal experiences of what this can do for your child.
And kind of taking that a step further, I know that as a freshman, it's kind of hard to visualize what this looks like. And so just hearing from seniors that have been in this program for 4 years, I know that it's not necessarily our program, but it's an AVID program. And most AVID programs are fairly similar in terms of how they go about doing business. And so I think it's just going to be an incredible experience for both students and families to hear from these students in terms of what their expectations were, what these students' expectations were as freshmen, and kind of where they're at now.
And we encourage you to come even if you've already submitted an application, because it is an opportunity for you to find out a little bit more about the program, and maybe meet with other kids who've turned in applications and see who's going to be going on this adventure with you.
All right, I'll jump back in here just for a moment. So again, folks, I pleasantly remind you that if you do have questions or feedback right now, we encourage you, again, because we're in this live stream format, you can type them right into that comment box right below where you're watching the video here in YouTube. We can see that question and we can respond to it in real time. And just like we tell students in classrooms, odds are if you are curious about something, probably half the other people watching this video, this live stream, are also curious about that same thing. So we'll kind of pause one more time, give anybody else out there an opportunity to formulate a question if you want to go ahead and ask it right now. As we give our viewers here one more opportunity to pose any questions to us right here in real time that we can respond to you in. Let's see, Mrs. Hobson, what excites you about this program? It's, whether it be from an administrative perspective or just as a longtime McHenryan, what excites you about this program?
There's actually quite a bit that excites me about this program, and I think it's one of the things that really rises to the top is just the potential that these students have that they don't even know about yet. That they're going to be able to really dig into as AVID students, and how this program is really going to give them the tools to propel them into a future that maybe they didn't think was possible. So that's one of the things that really excites me about AVID, the elective, and the other piece of it too for me is that these students will have a nucleus of staff and teachers surrounding them that are really going to be very interested in not only their academic progress and how they're succeeding in high school, but also they're them as human beings. And so to me, that's really, really important, and it's exciting, and I can't wait to meet our students who are going to be part of the program next year.
We did have a question come in about costs associated with the program.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pull the question right on screen so we can all see it and respond to it there.
Yeah, so there are no costs associated with the program. You don't pay for anything regarding tutoring or SAT prep or any of that, no cost. One of the things that you do want to keep in mind that there might be like incidental costs for field trips. When we start taking those field trips, like your kid wants to have lunch when we go on a field trip somewhere. So you'll have to send them along with money for lunch, but there's no cost for the program. Good question.
And I will say on that lunch item, I know I want to make sure that there are as few barriers to exploring, let alone taking action on things. So I will do everything I can within my power and resources to mitigate those costs for students and families. We thank the person who asked that question there. Again, odds are if you're curious about something, we'll kind of pause here one more time, give anybody else a chance to formulate some questions there. Mr. Boshin, you've been at this for a long time as a school counselor, also a longtime McHenryan. What excites you about AVID?
I honestly think that, this is our first real attempt to address the kids that are in the middle. I feel like we do so much for those kids that are high achieving kids, whether that be AP classes, honors classes, constantly, bringing courses onto our curriculum that are meant to really challenge those kids. And I think we do a good job with supporting those students that might be struggling a little bit, but we've really, this is, like I said, our first attempt to really support those kids in the middle that with this additional support should be able to excel above and beyond everyone's expectations. And so that's something that I'm really excited about.
Well said, and I could not agree with you anymore. I absolutely love how you frame that. At this point, we'll see if any other questions come in here in the next moment. Does anyone have any final thoughts for our viewers out there?
I wanted to just say, every time I talk about the AVID program among a group of adults in my life, those adults always say, "Oh, I could have used this so much when I was in high school." Like I swear I hear it every time I talk about what AVID is and everything like that. Or like a kid will say, or one of my peers will say, I would have been an AVID student. I was a first year college or first generation college student, and I was right in the middle, and I could have used this support." So it's really good. Are you locked into this program for all 4 years? When the students sign up for AVID, it is the idea that they are going to be committed to the program for 4 years. The program's curriculum sort of follows the pathway that students need to follow in order to be successful in college and beyond. Now, that being said, we are not locking your child in a room for 4 years. So if something happens that causes them to need to leave the program for whatever reason, and we'll sit down and chat with them about why it's important to stick with the AVID program, but they wouldn't be forced to stay in, if that makes sense.
I will say too, just to tag into that, because I know we've had parents and even staff and other adults say, is this going to take away from the opportunity to take, those other electives that our students are interested in taking? And I would say that have some faith in Mr. Boshin and I. We can work wonders with our systems and making sure your kid gets in the classes that they need to get in. There's a lot of maneuvering that we are able to do, and there's a lot of flexibility within our district to ensure your kid still is able to take those electives. In talking with other students, other AVID students, they themselves were like, if anything, this helped me not, to when I was meeting with my counselor and having to make those decisions, this kind of gave me more of a clear path. And I wasn't just taking classes to take classes with my best friend. I was taking classes because I knew this was going to be helpful for my future. And so this kind of helped shift that view. So I do want to say that, because I know that's always kind of like a worrisome thing that gets popped up into here when it comes to those type of conversations.
So we've had a couple other questions roll in here as well. I'm going to pull another one on screen. This one probably would be a little bit more of a counselor question, Mr. Boshin, Ms. Z. Question: is the class worth 1 credit per year?
The answer to that is yes. So each semester would be worth a half credit, and you would get 1 credit for the whole year over the course of 4 years. So that would be 4 credits.
Had another question roll in here as well. I'm going to pull on the screen. It's about supporting students with certain needs.
All right, so able to support kids with ADHD or neurodivergent students. That's actually kind of a benefit of AVID, is that there are a number of teachers in the building who will be trained in AVID curriculum and some of the AVID strategies that are being used. And the special education department is part of that planning committee. So absolutely, we'll be supporting students with ADHD or neurodivergencies.
Kyle, did you want to make mention about the school-wide piece? Because I know we kind of skipped that. Well, we touched on it earlier, but I know that that's like your bread and butter.
Yeah, sure. So one of the things with the AVID program overall is that it does have a school-wide piece, and the freshman campus is, a perfect building and a perfect structure for us to be able to implement some of the strategies that our AVID students taking the elective are taking school-wide. And so we do have a team that we're going to be, taking to the national conference over the summer, and where we're going to pull all of these AVID strategies together and be training all of the teachers in our building. Ultimately, that's our goal. It's going to happen over, time, but, so the benefit to an AVID student in that school-wide piece is that they'll be able to go from AVID to an English class and see something that they're familiar with, to a social studies class and see something they're familiar with, to a biology class and see a strategy that they're familiar with when it comes to academics and studying and being successful in a classroom. So, that school-wide piece is something that we are definitely going to be pushing out next year. So it's it's pretty exciting. And those AVID kids will have, they'll be in the know when they go into the other classrooms.
All right, I'm not seeing any other questions roll in here, so we appreciate everybody watching tonight. I'm gonna end by going back to the slide with the time left frame on it. Mrs. Dunn, I'll let you kind of take us out here.
Great. All right. So next steps for everybody at home. Remember, tonight, December 7th, is our virtual parent info meeting. And then the next thing, December 19th, 6 p.m., freshman campus. Come on, meet us in person. Yep. Come on out, have your students, because I was only at MMS, so I haven't met any of the Parkland students or any of the Harrison students. Mr. Boshin hasn't met anybody. So we would love to meet you as students and also as parents and kind of say hello, and so you can see us face to face, but also hear a little bit about the program from the perspective of students who have gone through it and what it's all about, answer any of those questions that you still have, and everything like that. So we did have one question that came up as I was doing that.
One more just popped in there, Mrs. Dunn.
Yep. Which is kind of part of what Miss Hobson, what Kyle was saying about the whole school-wide piece. So students who don't make it in the program for freshman year, there's actually certain schools that we've talked to about the AVID program. Remember, this is new for us, so we're kind of learning and building the program as we go along. But there's schools that we've talked to in the past where students have joined the program late or left the program and come back to the program. So there is opportunities for students to join in like after that first initial year. So if they don't make it in the first year, they'll have the school-wide strategies that will be given to them. But if they want to reapply sophomore year, that is probably an opportunity that they'll be able to have as well. So I hope that answers your question. I have to say probably, because this is AVID. We just signed with them and we're getting our team together and we have to make some of these decisions as a team. I'm thinking that's probably going to be the case, though, that students would be able to reapply coming up in like the future years if they want to get in on the later programs. And so everything like that, remember December 19th, application due December 23rd. If you're working on them at home, get those applications in. I promise you, all four of us have been reading those applications, and immediately when a new application comes in, we all text each other and say, have you seen the new application? So when someone's on the other end of that looking at it, don't feel like you're sending it out into the void and nothing is going to happen. We're all looking at it. And then we'll talk to you more about that interview process once we get all those applications in.
All right. I think I don't see any other questions coming in. So folks, just keep an eye on that timeline. We look forward to seeing you if you could make it out December 19th. Again, the applications, which again is a digital application, will be due there on December 23rd. So we appreciate you tuning in tonight. We are here to help and support your students as they transition from 8th grade into 9th grade. We wish them the best of luck as they finish off middle school here in the coming months. Reach out, bring questions to us, and know that that we've got you in the short term and the long term as we work with you and your student for the betterment of their future. On behalf of my colleagues, thanks for tuning in to the AVID presentation, and we look forward to more communication soon. Take care.